What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Two Wheel Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about how to decide on the right motorcycle for you and when's the best time to buy. You might be wondering, for those of you, especially in the northern states here in the US or even in other parts of the world that are currently experiencing winter, why would I want to be talking about getting a new bike right now? Can't ride it, right? True, very true. But the whole point of talking about this now is you should never make a rash decision or an immediate decision on purchasing a motorcycle. Motorcycles are a lot of fun, but they're very, very dangerous. And one of the things that makes motorcycle dangerous are the people that ride them. Meaning, you never want to panic or be in a situation where you feel like you might panic a lot when you're on it, because then you tend to do very stupid things like lay it down unnecessarily, or you might try to do a panic stop and endo the bike, and all sorts of really bad things can happen just because you don't feel comfortable on it. So you always want to take the time and determine, what kind of bike fits what you want. Now, a lot of people, they want to go fast, therefore they just want the regular, give me the crotch rocket, give me a however big an engine I need, so on and so forth, which is usually the question that people who are just getting into riding or ask people who ride, what size bike should I get first? Like, all my friends used to ask me the same question, how many cc's should I get for my first bike? Some of my friends wanted to start with a 300, which I'm not saying that starting low or slow getting into it is a bad thing. It's not. It really isn't. But you do have to understand that you're going to get really bored with it really fast, and that's kind of the problem. So, when I have someone tell me, oh yeah, well, I'm going to start off on a 300 or a 600, I usually try to get them to come up into like a 750. I think a perfect starting motorcycle is about a 750. It gives you a little bit more oomph, and that's kind of the point, is you just don't really want to get too used to it too fast. Like, everybody eventually ends up with 1,000 at some point. But the thing about having a 600 is you'll be riding around on the freeways or going off rides or even have other friends that you ride with that are going to have thousands, and they're going to light you up all the time. Like, they're just going to leave you in the dust constantly. And that's what's really going to kind of start to make you not like it and not really enjoy it as much as you thought you probably would. It'll still be fun, but nobody likes getting smoked. So, 750, you're still going to get smoked, but it's not going to be that bad. Like, you'll keep up for a little while, and with a 752, you can make some minor tweaks. We can add a whole new pipe, we can get a power commander, we can re-gear it, and you can pretty much keep up with your friends and stuff on thousands. 600s are going to take a little bit more work. So that's why I usually tell people, hey, start with something like 750 or higher. Cruisers are a little bit different story. They'll have a ton of torque, but the way they ride, like, the dynamic is very different. So, you can perfectly start with a 750 on a cruiser. They can make them. But if you're going to be on a cruiser, the general consensus is at least 1,200 or more. Again, the engine's different. How they ride is different. So you need to determine what it is and how it rides, and so on and so forth. Do your research. Always do research. If you're looking in to get, let's say you're looking at, crotch rockets, full fairing bikes, and you don't know whether or not you want an R1, a Gixxer, a CBR, or Kawasaki. Well, for one, if this is your first bike and you want a 750, you're going to be limited on options, because Honda doesn't make a 750, and neither does Yamaha, and neither does Kawasaki, full fairing crotch rocket. They just don't. The only 750 full fairing sport bike that you're going to get is going to be a Gixxer. So I mean, that kind of narrows your options. But that isn't the only bike out there that you can get. You know, if you're feeling a little bit more feisty, you can get an $899 Pedregali from Ducati. You know, there's other options. There's different price points. But the other main thing to all this is timing. Now, this is why we're talking about this right now. It's still winter, but spring's going to be coming soon. Now, you want to try to start determining what you want early enough to where you can take the time to really consider that option, and then maybe get a couple other options, and then compare the two, and basically, or three, or however many you decide, and try to figure out which one you feel is really going to be the one you're going to go with. And then just as the snow is starting to melt is usually when I try to go buy a bike. Why? Because then it's right after winter. I mean, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be right after the snow is just gone, and good enough for me to be able to do at least a test ride. Because I would never buy a bike that I couldn't ride first to make sure it was okay. And I'm talking about used. But even from a standpoint of it being new, most dealerships won't let you ride the bike. Just, they're not going to. You're going to have to buy it, sign all the paperwork, then they let you take it for like a quick little 1 mile jump around, and then you got to come back, and if you don't like it, they shred the paperwork. But as long as the bike's in perfect condition. I think that's horrible. You know, a lot of these bikes are almost the same price as a car now. But you get test drive cars, so you know, I don't think the way that they do that's right. I think you should always ride something and get a feel for it before you buy it. That's why, especially if it's going to be one of your first bikes or is your first bike, get a used one. You can get them; they're cheap. You know, you can go out there and get an 04, 05 Gixxer 750 for like $3,500 right now. That's a good price. $3,500 for a bike that it'll do you right. But just take a look around and see what you think you might want. You know, for me personally, I already know that I don't want a full fairing bike. You know, I want to do a naked Street Fighter. That's my thing right now. That's kind of like the next bike that I really want. I've had a lot of full fairing crotch rockets and stuff like that. I'm not really cool with getting a cruiser yet. It's just not. I feel like I want one at some point, but right now just isn't that time. So I've kind of come to the conclusion that the Street Fighter thing is the way I'm going to go. And I do have a bike that I have picked out. There are some other bikes that are in consideration, but I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure on this one specific bike. And it took some time. It took a couple of months of looking around, going in, checking other bikes out, and stuff like that. And I have mentioned it before in a different video, but you know, it has to be ordered. It'll take 30 days to get here, and then I got to drive to Chicago to get it. So I have to drive from Detroit to Chicago to go pick this bike up. They don't sell it here, so it is what it is. But it's beautiful. It's just really stupid expensive, and I guess that's the only thing that's kind of got me like, maybe I might not do it. There is another bike, there is another motorcycle that I was looking at that I'm pretty serious about being okay with buying. It's about $3,000 or $4,000 cheaper, brand new. Doesn't look as cool, but I still think it looks pretty cool. And it's really nice actually. There's a dealer right by my work that has one. I went and sat on it, kind of got a feel for it. It's really light, feels really nimble. You know, it gives me all my riding modes. I've never had riding modes before, so I don't know how that's gonna go. All my bikes are pretty analog, so getting used to the systems is gonna be tough. But that's how I determine about my bikes. As I go and I sit on them and I kind of get a feel for them. If I can, I try to ride them before I buy them. But for me, it's all about comfort. Like, first and foremost, it's aesthetics. Completely aesthetics. Because if I don't like the way the bike looks, then there's no point in having it. Or to me, there isn't. I'm not going to buy a bike I don't like to look at. And that sounds kind of selfish or petty, but that's true. aesthetically pleasing to start with, and then from that, you know, it's gotta be comfortable, man. I gotta feel right on the bike. Like, that is so important, especially now with, you know, after this last accident and stuff like that, and me not even being sure I want to ride anymore, or if that I'm going to be okay with riding anymore. It's kind of even more important now than it was ever before. So we'll see. Unfortunately, you know, the bike I want to get again has to be ordered, and I'd have to drive to Chicago to go see it. So that's going to be interesting. Never sat on one, never seen one in person, nothing. I've seen a picture of it and I love it. I love everything about the pit, you know, what it looks like. It's fucking amazing to me. But just take that into consideration, you know, figure out what your stipulations are. You know, do you care, how much do you care about how the bike looks? Is comfort more of a thing for you? Did you want a full fairing bike, which might be a little bit more in insurance, or would you go with more of like a sport naked? Do you want a cruiser? You know, kind of determine one piece at a time. You know, figure out what style of motorcycle you want first, and then you can start running through the manufacturers and trying to figure out the rest of it from there. That's always a good place to start. And don't worry about having to buy the smallest bike you can find. You know, getting an R3 to start riding as a male that's like 170 pounds, don't do that. I mean, if that's what you really want to do, by all means, go ahead and do that. But if you want to get like seriously into riding, an R3 is going to be like riding a moped to you. And I know that some people will be like, oh, no, you really need to learn. You need to calm down, really. Getting on a motorcycle and twisting that throttle is going to be different at first, but you get used to it really quick. And it doesn't, you could buy 1,000 as your first bike and you'll be fine. You just need to not panic and just be calm about riding it and understand how much power it has. You can do that. I would, as long as you're a person with a pretty cool demeanor, doesn't really get into panic situations all the time, you know, pretty decent at driving a car, you know, I'd be totally supportive of the fact if you wanted to buy 1,000. There's no reason why you couldn't. 1,000s are really fast. They are really fast. From an acceleration standpoint, from like a 600 to 1,000 you can tell, but like a 750, I mean, it's not going to be all that noticeable. Where people are like, oh my god, man, it's this huge difference. It's really not. It kind of does, you know, because it's in your head, but that is what it is. The right time to buy might not really ever come around. You know, with the seasons, it gives you a good chance to get a good deal on something, especially because, you know, springtime, we're just coming out of winter. A lot of people are getting their taxes, so you get your taxes, which gives you some of that money that you need to do it. And then if you're buying used, you know, that person might have just got their taxes and might be willing, you know, now they got that money in their pocket, might be willing to take a little bit more off the price of the bike, you know, just to move it. But at the end of the year, you know, people know they're not going to want that bike next year, you know, and they want to get ready for all the winter deals that the dealerships are doing. Because the dealerships they'll offer you sweet deals on bikes during the winter. They got no problem doing that. So people are trying to offload them as quick as they can. They're willing to make a deal at the end of summer. If you live in a state or a part of the world where it's just warm all the time, I don't know if you guys would have a good time to deal. I mean, if you live in one of those states or a southern state, and there's good times to, you know, buy motorcycles or stuff like that, leave a comment below. Let everybody else know about like when and why is a good time during the year to buy. I'm kind of interested too because it's warm all the time. I can't imagine why you'd be able to get a deal at any particular time versus another time. But hey, I don't know. I don't live in a southern state. If you guys are stopping in for the first time, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, and I will talk to you later.